I'm Marcy Barron, and this is Mondays with Marcy. I'm your homeward bound guide to everything 5D living. I can't wait to share with you tips and tools to guide your personal transformation so that you can live a life that thrills you. Welcome to this week's Mondays with Marcy. I am Marcy Barron, your host, and I am so excited to welcome Miklos and Jennifer from Chakras and Shotguns. These guys are just an incredible individually and a duo, and I am just so excited. So welcome, guys.
Thank you.
In harmony. So we first got connected from Melanie from Reiki Room San Diego, and what I love about the both of you is what I really admire in people are individuals that are in their work and on their path and are able to combine and work as partners in their joined purpose. So I just love that about you too. And so your podcast is called, well, first let's introduce you individually. Okay, so would one of you like to introduce yourself first, tell what you do, what you're into, and then we'll do the combined, because I just love you both individually and this whole combo flambo.
Yeah, I'll let Jen go first.
Okay.
Ladies first, no pressure.
Yes. Gentlemen.
Yes. So my name is Jen. I am a trained lawyer. I've been practicing law for 11 years, but I'm soon closing that chapter officially. So that's very exciting.
Yeah.
But the other things that I'm interested in that we talk about a lot on the show is yoga, herbalism, human design. So a lot of those really cool things. I love tarot and it's been really fun, like getting to explore some of those things. And I think there are things that people don't necessarily think about when they say, you're an attorney?
You know what I want to just say is, like, you're getting out of your left brain and into your right brain, out of your masculine and into your feminine essence. Like, and I love that for you. You just like light up when you were just speaking about those things. So I love that for you.
Yeah. Part of this journey of me leaving the law and I'm actually going into real estate and design is all of my affirmations were about bringing beauty into the world. And so it's like leaving contracts and it's very like, robotic and black and white and paper and numbers and moving into design and art and beauty and like taking all of that in. And so I'm very much so in my divine feminine bag. I love that.
I love that for you. That's amazing. And I want to just acknowledge the courage it takes for you to do that too. It's like you go into something that is, very linear, very much rewarded in this traditional culture that not traditional, but this patriarchal way that we've been doing. And it's like, good for you for stepping into your feminine. What that in itself, the ripple in that is, everyone listening, I want you to hear this beautiful goddess who is following her heart and her path, and that is unbelievable. So I didn't know that, so I'm celebrating that in you. Thank you for sharing that. Miklos, how about you?
So Marcy, all my friends call me Mik. We're friends now, so you can call me Mik.
Okay, Mik.
So I'm Mik. I am similar to Jennifer. I have an interesting academic background. So I have an engineering degree and I have an MBA, but I have also left the corporate world as well. I have a marketing consulting business that I run part-time, but I've also really leaned into my divine feminine energy and I focus on Reiki as a part of my other business, the Inner Victory. And so I'm an attuned Reiki master. I do a lot of coaching and healing through that. And recently I actually did my first retreat, which was all about bringing men together to kind of heal the divine masculine. So it was a great weekend away in the wilderness. And we did a lot of ceremonies and rituals. I've also gone through the shamanic rites of passage. So there was a lot of integration of that into the weekend as well. And yeah, we hiked a nice little hill in the middle of hill country in Texas. I say hill because people who live in like real mountain areas, they would just call it a hill, but it's kind of a mountain for us. So it was great. And yeah, just continuing to lean into that healing energy that I want to bring into the world, similar to Jen.
Okay. And what you're doing for the divine masculine we need to have that multiplied all over the country, all over the world, because that is what is rising. And again, I honor and bow to your mission in doing that. Again, I had no idea all of that left brain. I mean, MBA, that's no easy task to complete. My ex-husband has an MBA, and I honor, and then you're like, nope, I'm going into this. So the beautiful part of the both of you is that you are being guided through your soul, through this higher purpose to be of service, and to what I really love about you guys, and this is the word I want to say, is your sovereignty. You two, what you're up to is about embodying the inner king and inner queen. And as you bring it together, that is what the sense when I learned about chakras and shotguns, it's like inner sovereignty and outer sovereignty. And you guys, even your logo sitting on that little thing, I'm like, you guys are it. So I just love it, and I love what you're up to. So that leads us into, as individuals, you come together in a podcast, in a brand, and now I have a t-shirt named Chakras and Shotguns. And that to me is incredible. So can you tell me the story, that meaning of this whole essence of what you speak to and embody in your messages on the podcast?
Sure. So it started in 2020, as most things started for a lot of people in 2020 with COVID, and everyone's inside and going within. And I feel like things got very quiet for people. You know, all of the hustle and bustle and this event, I got to go do this, and my kids have this, and everyone was inside and starting to really sit with themselves. And through a lot of what we call now all of these synchronicities, like, of course that happened. And then of course that happened. It got us to the point where we met Melanie.
Yes.
Who's fantastic. And I think that turbocharged our spiritual journeys, both of ours. And we say this all the time. We're very, very blessed that we've been very lockstep with each other. We're all the time, we're saying, I could not imagine if I was going through this radical change, this huge spiritual journey, and you were just like, what are you doing? Crystal, yeah. What is this? So we're on our spiritual journey. Fast forward 2021, we're currently in Texas, and the huge power crisis happens with the freeze, and you know, the entire state's impacted. And Mik and I have been prepping a little bit since we got married years prior. So we were prepared. We were fine. You know, we have solar panels and we had food storage, and we were okay. And we noticed and were really blown away by how many people were just completely caught off guard. Because who would have ever expected that the state could not provide electricity through a cold front storm, ice storm like that? Right. No one would have ever. No, the lights come on. I pay the bill. The lights come on. I go to the store. I get what I need. And at the very same time, a lot of our spiritual mentors and guides and Melanie were telling us, you need to tell your story. You need to get on YouTube, or you need to start a podcast, or you need to start using your voice. And we started thinking of these two concepts. And then Mik's like, oh, I got a download. I don't know, how long ago was that you got that download?
Yeah, so probably 2 to 3 months before we even made the decision to create the podcast, the phrase chakras and shotguns just kind of came to me, and I put it in my iPhone, just like in a note, and just like left it there. One of those notes that, we all have it on our phone, just like random inspiration that we write down on our phone. Maybe we don't ever come back to it. And so then we're exploring this idea of a podcast, and Jen is like, I think we should talk about both spirituality and preparedness, because these are both things that we feel like we have something to say about that people could really gain a lot of insight from. And I said, okay, well, here's the name right here. Like, it's on my phone. Like, it's
already done.
And she's like, I love it. Let's do it.
Wow.
And just took off from there.
I absolutely love that. I mean, here in New York, we went through Hurricane Sandy. So again, it's like you have no idea what's about to happen when. And what's indicative of what's going on in Yellowstone Park right now, Mother Nature is doing her thing. She's always going to run rivers high and take out life and run fire and all of the things that are really uncomfortable and painful. And yet she's evolving and ascending as we are, and I remember I lived in Jackson Hole, Wyoming for a year, and that was the year Yellowstone burned. Remember in the 90s, the early 90s, there were fires and fires and fires, and it was scary. It was scary for wildlife, but at the end of the day, it was how the forest cleared itself. It was what brought all of the nutrients back into the soil to bring the life. So, we live within Mother Nature, but like you said, you want the heat to go back on and the lights to go back on, and you guys were prepared. And it's interesting they're talking about, the 3 days of darkness at least. If anyone listening, do you guys know about that? The 3 days, the solar flash? You know about that thing?
I'm not familiar, no.
All right, so let me tell you of what you're preparing for. One of the things, we are going through a photon belt through space. So as we go Earth around our sun is going around its sun, and that sun is going around its sun, and we're moving through space. And apparently that we're just going through and becoming into our light bodies, but what's being prepared for is this great solar flash. There's all of this energy being built, and then the sun is going to bring, darkness. And like you said, it's really important to be prepared. So I would like to speak to that a little bit, like what all right, let me actually go back. So I understand now why, based on what your backgrounds are, for spirituality and preparedness to intersect. It's your two passions. Yeah. But what would you say the need for that was, like, and how do you approach that in your work?
Yeah, so I think it's something that initially didn't come to me. We kind of like launched the podcast, and after some reflection, I really thought through this. And I think about how church and state are like the big kind of pillars of our society, right? They control a lot of what happens from, just a practical everyday standpoint, as well as from a more deeper spiritual standpoint as well, right? And I feel like we have become really reliant on those two entities for our spirituality as well as our well-being. And so our podcast is really about self-sufficiency in both areas. We want people to get away from just going to church, temple, synagogue, and getting their spirituality kind of spoken to them.
Right.
And we want folks to go and find it for themselves and be self-sufficient in that regard. And then the same thing when it comes to natural disasters, we have this dependency where we think FEMA or, the emergency service personnel are going to be the ones that save us in these situations, or, bad guy knocks down your door, you're expecting the police to be there to save you. And so we want people to think more self-sufficiently in that arena as well. So making sure you have the ability to protect your home, making sure you have, basic food and water in cases where, the roads are iced over and you can't get to where grocery store where you can get those provisions. And so I think just thinking about it from that lens of church and state, we become dependent. How can we be more self-sufficient? That really encapsulates the spirit of Chakras and Shotguns.
I love that. And now you have another word, sovereignty, like really being sovereign in that. I love that so much. So, tell me like how you guys are like have synergy as a team. Like you spoke about it. You're on this. You're partners in life. You're partners in this connected, mission. How do you have this synergy? And maybe if you could look at it in benefits and challenges, like however you guys want to parse that out. But I'm curious about that.
Yeah, I think it starts with this masculine, feminine energy, right? That we have to balance between each other. And even in the show title, right? Chakras and Shotguns, there's this balance just in the duality of that naming. And so it comes to life, I think, as we work together, right?
Right. Yeah, for sure. I think when we first started, and
you're laughing.
I know. We're talking about topics or like, this is what we're going to record. And Mik's like, okay, we have to write it all out. And I need bullet points and I need an outline. And I was like, just go with the flow. Like, we're just going to get in there. We're just going to talk and it's going to be so much fun. We talk about like when we first got married, our budget. Mik was like, so what's your financial budget? I was like, I intuitively budget. Like, no, I have spreadsheets and I count every penny. And I was like, well, it works for me. He's like, well, this works for me. And just finding how, to meet each other in the middle.
Yeah.
And with our passions, what's funny is they don't ever quite fully overlap. So we end up being able to cover a lot of different things. It's like, okay, well, you're the authority on this for this topic. I'll be the authority next time on this topic. And we get to cover a ton on the podcast.
Yeah.
I love that. And I have to say, I knew that about you guys because as Mik and I were emailing and I was on your podcast, I'm like, he's got a list of questions for me. I'm like, I just flow when it's my questions. And then when you reached out, you're like, what are you going to ask? I'm like, I have to think of questions. So I saw that in the masculine and I was like, and again, I love that structure that you give Mik and Jen, your flow, and you guys really have this beautiful synergy. It's apparent, and it's so, what's the word I want to say? It's just, I admire it. I really do. It's an essence that is medicine for the whole world because there's so much of that isn't in flow, that isn't in synergy. And again, oh, my lights just flashed. We got a little flash in here. So yeah, something's agreeing. Awesome. So what are some of the benefits of working together? Like tell me about that. You go about your day, you're doing yourselves and then you have to come together. So let's talk about that because you really embody a beauty in that. So what are the benefits?
Well, we call each other best friend. And so it's fun to just like be able to work with your best friend first off, I think. And just have a lot of fun recording and stuff.
Mm-hmm. We have a lot of projects going in general.
Yeah.
So it's nice to share one and watch it grow and feed into it.
Yeah.
Versus just hearing about the other person's project. So it's like we're working together on one. We get to share one.
Yeah.
It's like a shared garden that you get to tend together.
Mm-hmm.
And you get to harvest the fruit of that. I love that. Mm-hmm. So tell us about your projects. Jen, what are you working on?
So I recently just purchased a house in the Joshua Tree, Yucca Valley area.
Ooh!
I think that location is going to be very special to us. So starting a renovation next month and making that pretty, which I just love. And I just like, to drown myself in paint swatches and fabrics and everything. So that's fun. I just started reading human design charts for people. So that's been really, really fun. I'm like, what else do I have going on? Chakras and Shotguns. I'm taking a little break since I just officially quit my job. So
good for you. Right? You took a vacation. You guys I'm so amazing.
Yeah, I'd say the big thing that both of us are working on is we're moving to Los Angeles. I don't know if we told you that. Mark.
Yes, yeah.
So our house actually went on the market yesterday. And so we've been trying to get that together for showings and have open houses and whatnot going on. So that's a pretty big project now.
That's a big transition. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Wow.
but me individually, yeah, I think I'm really focused on just my Reiki business and serving as many people as I can. So trying to do remote sessions, in-person sessions. I also am working on my next retreat. So I want to be able to do those like every 6 months and continue to grow. The last one was 5 guys. I want to basically double it for the next one and continue to make that a bigger and bigger event. So
yeah, I love that.
And then our biggest project, we have a 3-year-old and an 18-month-old.
Yeah, we're parents too. Oh my God. Wow. And that we know is the hardest project. So it's the hardest thing of all, right? So what's having you move from Texas to LA? That's a big transition. What's happening with that?
It's really a big leap of faith. I think Spirit is guiding us there. It's something that we've heard from multiple different kind of guides, and both, in the physical world, as well as talking to Spirit and hearing our guides tell us. And we're just kind of going with it. It's something that our parents think we're crazy. Like, why would you leave Texas where there's no state income tax, and houses are much more expensive in California? And, there's a laundry list of things I can name as to why we should stay here in Dallas. But I think we're just feeling this call, and it's where we're supposed to be, and we're excited about it.
That is what you embody. You both don't do what's typical or logical or makes sense, and you follow your heart. You follow the messages. You follow the synchronicities of, we're going and it doesn't make sense on paper, and we know that this is where we're supposed to be. You guys, that is fucking amazing. No, everyone.
No, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
No, really, because that I was like, what? I had those same questions. I'm like, what's going on there? But I really do see the medicine that you have to offer that part of the country. And then even, you ready? That house in Joshua Tree becomes like the retreat center, or, the place where you are just a couple of hours from LA. I mean, I see it already. I see it too. It's like, damn. You guys, I have to say, are a breath of fresh air in everything, because it is the individual, it's the balanced individual, masculine and feminine within, and then you come together and the shared vision. And I'm crazy about you guys, but you knew that. Oh my God. So what are the top 3 tips you would give that we could prepare on the inside and the out, right? Because you're talking about this alignment in spirituality and preparedness outside. So I don't know if it's 6 tips, maybe 3 tips inside and 3 tips outside. How about that?
You want to talk about inside?
You do inside.
You want me to do inside? Okay.
See, we're crossing over. You're answering the feminine question.
Nice. So I think from a preparation from the inside perspective, it's really about focusing on a meditation practice, right? Trying to find that, what works for you. Some people, it could be walking and meditating. It could be meditating in the shower. It could be sitting on a pillow in a quiet room. That's great. But find something that allows you to connect with spirit. And I think that was a foundation for us, and how we really were able to kind of grow spiritually. Like Melanie jokes that we're on the fast track. And I think a lot of that is because we value and spend time with meditation. We've created a dedicated space in our house, and, we really just embrace that. Second, I think finding quiet time. And that could be related to meditation or not. Like some people, meditating, you may want to have some music going, or you may want to have a guided meditation. So that could be not your quiet time. But if you meditate that way, find another form or avenue to have quiet space. And I think Jen, she talks a lot about how she used to listen to music a ton when she would drive by herself, and she since stopped that. And that's like her time to just like really allow her thoughts to develop and sitting in quiet space. So I'd say 2 is just making sure you have dedicated quiet time. And then Three would probably be community or partnership or some other person that you can commiserate with. It could be a buddy on the internet. It could be a close friend or family member that's in the same place as you, but just having that person that you can really connect with about what you're going through, what you're seeing, or, if you're getting messages that are coming in from guides, you want to be able to bounce ideas off of other people. And it's been really great because my wife and I live in the same house, and I can just be like, hey, I just got this message from an alien. Like, so I think having that is really important for inside balance.
Yeah.
I love that. So
for the outside, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I says love that.
For the outside, and I want to say something I think that's big on our podcast is we talk about things and then we're always saying, do what works for you. And I think with prepping, people can get very overwhelmed. Like they see the shows, Extreme Preppers, and they think you have to have a nuclear bunker. And they're like, there's no way I'm ever going to get to that level. You just have to start somewhere. And so the three areas we usually talk about focusing on is power, water, and food. So if something happened, if your power went out, do you have candles? Do you have flashlights? Do you have batteries? How are you going to charge your phone? Start there. Start small. With water, do you have just even an extra bottle of water, an extra jug of water? Do you have something that if your water went out or if water wasn't safe, because we also dealt with that in the power crisis, that the water treatment plants weren't on because of the power. So the water coming out of the faucets wasn't safe to drink or cook with.
Wow.
So, and it's amazing how things start to kind of have a domino effect. And you weren't even thinking like, oh, I wasn't even thinking that this could be impacted if this system shuts down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in that specific example she mentioned during the storm, the water went out or the water was not safe to drink. So you had to boil it. But if you had an electric stove and the power was out, you couldn't boil your water. So there was just like all of this
compounded. Yeah. Exactly. Wow.
Yeah. And then the last is food. So usually we say, do you have enough food in your house that you could eat for 3 days? And so some people don't even have like a jar of peanut butter or something that's like really shelf stable that they could just eat for 3 days. So start there. You don't have to have 6 months worth of food and emergency rations and all of that. Just start small.
Wow. That's really something to think about. Like you just connected dots for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, what happens if the water's no good? What do you do? And I have electric. We were out here for over 2 weeks with Hurricane Sandy. But there were places we could go to that weren't out. So, whereas everyone was in the same boat with you, right? I mean, it was like there wasn't, I could see the neighbor over my fence because their electricity goes out one way and ours goes the other way. We lost, and I could still see their lights on the whole time. How long were you out for?
So I just wanted to say one more thing about leaving. During that Texas ice storm, the roads were frozen. And in Texas, we don't have salt trucks to come and salt the road. So you couldn't leave the house. You were stuck inside and you had to deal with not having water and electricity. So it was really an extreme situation.
You were stuck.
Yeah. Yeah. So for us, we had invested in rooftop solar panels and a battery. And so we were able to have power during the day. So we weren't actually ever without power during the storm. And so that's one of the things we talk to people about, like have a generator. Like that's like, next level. Like once you get those basic things taken care of, think about how you can potentially have a generator or have solar panels on your roof if you live somewhere sunny, to be able to self-sufficiently have power.
Yeah. I mean, I live in a condo, so we could never have a generator, but you give something to a lot to think about, like really a lot. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much. How can everybody contact you? What's the best way to check you guys out and connect with what you're doing?
So you can find us on chakrasandshotguns.com. You can find us on Instagram at Chakras and Shotguns, on TikTok at Chakras and Shotguns. What's our Patreon link?
It's patreon.com/chakras and shotguns.
Yeah.
Good branding and consistency across everything, which is what you guys embody. I will link all of those in the show notes so that everybody can connect with this beautiful divine feminine and divine masculine couple that I love. Sovereignty and preparedness inside and out. Thank you so much for being a guest today.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
All right, bye.
Bye.
That's it for this week's episode of Mondays with Marcy. Be sure to subscribe to my newsletter at marcybaronclears.com. I also would love for you to follow me on your favorite podcasting app so that you don't miss a single episode. I'm Marcy Baron, and thanks for listening. I am so grateful you are here.